Yo.
Yes, sir.
What's up, guys? Yes. This DJ will kick the floor in three, two, one.
On the troll.
Hello and welcome to Mzansi. We are back again, and just an apology that we started a bit later than the time that we said we started. But
sorry, guys.
We are sorry. It's all Emil's fault. I'm joking. It's my fault. Guys, today, Emily, it's going to be, you said it's going to be as quick as it can.
Yo, with the many details, contradictions, but it's fine. I'll try and keep it short.
Don't jump anything. I would rather be the one who's more silent. You do your thing.
Okay. Starting now. Hi guys, welcome back to the Mzansi Reality YouTube channel. So, Court began in session with Ramasipele asking about the relationship that Zandi had, that Kelly Khumalo had with Senzo.
Kelly Khumalo.
That Kelly Khumalo had. My apologies, not Zandi. He asked Zandi about the relationship that Kelly and Senzo had. So the part where I started to seeing the broadcast is that she was being asked, and Zandile said she didn't take the details of the party because she was not invited after being asked whether she was invited at the party at Mahumutsa. And Ramasipele asked, in your testimony is that you traveled in that one car, the BMW X6, and you realized that when you got to the party venue that the preparations were still ongoing, so you went to Dorothy Nyembe Park. And Zandi confirmed it, said yes. And they further asked her, having performed at the Dorothy Nyembe Park, you go through Soweto, but eventually the trip is to Mokgoatlheng at Mthokozisi Twala's place, correct? And she said yes. What was the purpose of going to Mthokozisi's home or residence? And she said that at the time, she didn't know the reason for going to Mthokozisi's place, but saw Mthokozisi enter the house and then get out with changed clothes. Now, this was where I was starting to pick up the tone. The tone has now changed, Yaga Lorraine. It sounded so humble and everything yesterday, but now, today, it was a little bit more like the Lorraine we know. And Ramasipele then asked, Mthokozisi had changed clothes, then you traveled to View to the off-ramp at the highway to collect Tumelo Madlala, and then she said yes. So before the 26th of October 2014, you met Tumelo Madlala before. Had you met Tumelo Madlala before this day? And she said no, she had never met him. And Ramasipele asked, he gets picked up from the off-ramp and you drive to your mother's house? And then she said yes. Indeed, Tumelo Madlala is found picked up from the off-ramp and driven to their mother's house. Ramasipele then asked, Tumelo had crutches? She said yes, meaning he had some sort of injury. Yes, he had a foot injury, according to Zandi. So Ramasipele then asked, did he have a plaster or a bandage? Then Zandi said he had a plaster cast on. So your testimony further is that you picked up Tumelo Madlala, you then proceeded to your mother's house. And then she said yes. Upon arriving at your mother's house, just aside before you entered, you realized that you needed alcohol, drinks. Then you made a U-turn and went to Kwembus, correct? Then she said no, they actually didn't make a U-turn. The path was just straightforward going to Kwembus. Then yesterday, if you recall, we saw a case of alcohol shown that was depicted on exhibits, right? The very same exhibits that we are no longer allowed to see. The cans of Heineken and Guarana, you testified that you and Kelly drank Guarana, right? And she said, yes, that's correct. And this is where now Ramasipele was trying to establish the sobriety of Zandile Khumalo. And she said she was sober. Right? She insisted on being sober because having drunk those cans on a scale of 1 to 10, where will you put your level of intoxication? And she said, I'm not new to alcohol. 2 or 3 cans don't do anything to me. I wasn't drunk.
Defensive mode.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, 9 years ago, you were much younger than you are now. So the way you can take alcohol now is certainly not the same way you were able to take alcohol back then.
By the way, do we know, just to disturb you, I mean, do you know Ntanzi's age now?
Ooh, I remember I came across it as I was doing research. I think he's 30. He's the youngest, actually, of those guys that are accused. He's the youngest one. I think he's 30 or 31, if I'm not mistaken.
So if you stayed minus, 8 years or so?
He would have been 21, 22 at the time.
Very interesting. I'm saying this because a lot could have changed during that time.
Yes.
So I don't know. Like at the time, when was this guy? Just to deviate, when was the guy arrested? The car washer guy.
The incident happened in 2014. Shortly after the incident.
It would be interesting to know that guy's age.
Mokgoatlheng.
Yes.
I'm sure you can Google it. It's there.
Yeah, I'll look for it. Continue.
Then Ramosipele asked, but you haven't answered my question. I don't know you and I don't know how you drink. My question is simply based on what you said you drank that day, feeling in terms of intoxication. And then Lorena's like, I wasn't drunk, in a stern voice. Then Ramosipele said that he verified that a volume is 5.5 per can. If you have taken 3 cans, that's about 16.5 according to his estimation. So that is where the judge now interfered and said, but you ask the witness about her state of sobriety or drunkenness, and she's giving you her state of that aspect, and you're trying to establish. But if you are putting it to her, then you should have examined her because you were not there. And he even gave an example of how people in the township, they drink alcohol, fill up the table, they drink alcohol, they go and regurgitate it out, and then they come back and they drink some more, just for the fill up the table culture. And then Ramosipele was like, this, my lord, happened in the 80s, but I'm not sure if it's still happening now. And the judge is like, no, it's still happening now. So based on that level of sobriety argument, because I realized that Ramosipele included it today, even Mshololo likes to play with it. What is the point of it actually?
It is basically to discredit the evidence that you are giving in terms of one pointing at accused. It could have been that you were not in good state of being able to see this person correctly. Then therefore you could be pointing the wrong person because you were drunk.
So moving on, Ramosipele said that he counted all the people that were in the house, and he said, I'm going straight for the jugular. You testified that between 7 and 8, 2 men entered the house using the kitchen door. Then Zandi said, yes. And your description of the first intruder is that he was short and had dreadlocks. She said, yes. Ramosipele asked, you said he had a gun. Then she said yes. Ramosipele asked, with the second intruder, you said he was not too light in complexion. He was taller than the first one. And then Zandi said, yes, that's true. The first suspect pointed a firearm at the occupants of the house and demanded cell phones and money. Yes, he was speaking in Zulu. Yes. Repeat in Zulu what he said. Wati kipani imali nama cell phone. He said, take out money and cell phones. Did the first intruder use any swear words? No. When he uttered those words, what was his demeanor? And Zandi said he looked serious. What was the tone of his voice? It was firm. What were you paying attention to when you noticed that there were 2 people who intruded in the house? And she said that she was looking at Kaylee, who was telling them a joke. And would you agree with me that being pointed at with a gun in a robbery at night is a frightening and terrible ordeal? And then she said yes. The men that entered.
Just to disturb you, I got the age.
Okay, how old was he?
He's 37 years old. He was 37 years old in 7 May 2022. So he could be around 38 now.
Yeah, now he could be 38. And it means he was 30, around 30 at the time. Yeah, he was 30. So what does that mean, Mr. Anonymous? Where are you going with this?
I mean, if you're saying Ntanzi, Ntanzi's age is what, 20,
You can also
30,
Google it,
30 something.
find it.
Therefore, I mean, that could have been a boy at the time.
Yeah, he would have been very young.
Yeah. That's my thinking. I'm looking at this guy. Guy's older, much more older.
Yes.
And then Ntanzi, much more younger.
Yes.
So we have to consider that too.
He was just starting his life in Ntanzi back then. That age. You're just starting out. You're finding your way.
Yeah.
So Ramusipili said that there's an element of danger in being pointed with a firearm. Then Zandi said, yes. Were you frightened at the sight of the first suspect with a gun? And she said, I just froze. I didn't know what was happening. We are freeze, Pela, Lorraine, freeze. What was the state of illumination in the house? And she said there was light all over the place. So Tumelo, there was light all over the place. The lights were in the kitchen area, the dining room, and the passage.
Yeah.
Exactly where did the first intruder with the gun stand? And then Zandi said he stood in front of them on the left side. So Ramasipili asked, and in which hand was the gun held by the first intruder? She said she could not remember, but he was pointing at them. You know, in what position was he pointing to you? And she said it was in front of his chest. That didn't make sense to me, but we move. When he demanded money and cell phones.
What you're saying is that it didn't make sense. Why that question?
It didn't make sense why that question and the answer.
Okay, the question was basically trying to establish the color of a gun. Why is it important that a person is pointing direct at you from the chest position to you direct? You can only see, what do they call it? The pipe. Yes, the barrel. Then, but if I'm pointing at something else and you're seeing it sideways, then you have a clear visualization of how or what the gun looks like.
Okay, all right.
And the answer that was expected there, in case there was a bit of confusion, is an answer that if you didn't want to explain or describe the structure of the firearm, you could have said he was pointing at me direct because I could only see the barrel.
Oh,
so there is no other visualization that I saw.
All right.
But what she did, she answered by saying she was not pointing direct at it. So she was seeing a gun from the sideways. So therefore, you are in position, or because your focus is in this guy. Your focus is in the same firearm. So you could tell us the color of a gun and maybe the make of a gun.
Because she became very hostile all of a sudden when being asked about the gun.
Yeah, because he was confused. But the main aim of that question, as I was listening to it, this guy started asking about the gun, how the gun looked. He gave it away by doing that. The first point that he could have used to start the argument is, where were you sitting and where was that gun pointing? And then from there, you follow up by saying, then you are in position of at least seeing a bit of a color of that gun.
Because she was asked to describe the firearm, and she said, firstly, I don't know guns, but it was not a dark and it was not a big gun, but it was small. So Ramusipili said, describe the front part. We described the front part as the barrel. What was the color of the barrel of the gun? And Zandi became even more. She
became more defensive.
You are now speaking French to me, and I don't know or understand what you're saying.
But there was an answer at the end of that. She ended up saying, after saying that she cannot give the color, she said it is darkish, which is what she was given as an option. Was a gun black, darkish, and she could have just finished that conversation by saying yes, darkish.
So when someone points you with a gun, are you going to stand there and study the gun and what type of gun it is and how it looks? Hey, rude, Lorraine. Then they're saying we're going to have a problem if you ask a question with a question, if you answer a question with a question. But she said, but if your question is not clear, how are you expecting me to answer it? Okay, so at the end of it all, as Mr. Anonymous said, she ended up giving the color of the gun as blackish. So she said at some point she even argued that she wasn't a firearm expert.
I think one might argue, why is the color of a gun important? Remember, there is a gun probably that is held there as the one that was used in Senzo's demise.
Yes.
So if that gun, for example, is pulled up and all of a sudden it's a silver gun, so it changes the whole thing. That's why it's important, because they know how the gun, those who are arguing, they know how the gun looks.
She also didn't want to estimate how far she was standing from the first intruder and all of that. And she was saying that she's not good at maths and arithmetic. So from where she was sitting, Ramosipela asked, which side did you see the gun? And she said, from the side. And like she said, it was darkish, you know. And then when the firearm was pointed at her, you stated that you froze. Do you remember that? And she said, yes. And you say at that moment you hid your phone under a cushion on the couch. And she said, yes, but I did that after Longwe pushed him.
You see, the problem with this whole thing of, if you are going to say or create or even have a certain narrative, or I don't know, there are a few things that you must guide against.
Which are?
When Dumi was saying that he's not sure of the light, that was I would say, a smart move. On the other side, contrary to what we are hearing from Zandi is saying the light, in fact, the kitchen light is even brighter. You know why she would say that? In my own thinking? Because she wanted to say, I had a clear view of seeing these people. But that also would catch up with her now, because if she could see at the kitchen while she's in the sitting room, when someone is closer with a firearm, then it's even more clearer then you can see a firearm, because you could even see a fly.
She said it was so bright you could even see a fly flying.
So there is a bit of contradiction there.
Oh my God. So Rabusipili asked, when the two suspects entered, Kelly runs to the bedroom that is facing the kitchen, right? And then at some point, the judge asked Ramosipele that he shouldn't use the word story, just say evidence. We are lawyers, you know. And then the second suspect chased Kelly to the bedroom. In that process, Kelly gets into the room and closes the door, and the second suspect tries to push the door from the outside. Is that correct? Then she said yes. And where were you in that moment? And Zandi said that she was still seated where she was sitting. So when did the second suspect enter the house? And then Zandi's like I said, they came in at the same time with the taller one following the shorter one with the gun. Was the second suspect also armed? And then Zandi said she didn't notice that. Ramosipile asked, clarify for me in your evidence. You said that the second suspect stood next to the stove. Do you recall that? She said, I remember that, but I said it was in the middle of the door that leads to the passage, and yes, there's a stove next to it. The second suspect does not manage to open the door where Kelly has run to. What then happens to the second suspect? And Zandi was like I explained. It's not like he pushed once or twice and then left. It was push and pull at the door. And I kept thinking to myself, but yesterday, Baloy did not dwell much on this, because I remember I even asked that, was there pushing, and that part was out de novo.
You see, there is still an unanswered, I think I would say, action in that story. The question is, when does Kelly start running to the room? And then when does the scuffle start? Was it in this order? Longwetwala pushing, Kelly runs
To the
bedroom, and then
second suspect follows her.
And then second suspect follows her.
Push and pull.
Which I would assume you pass by the sitting room to the bedroom, right? And then after that, that's when those who are sitting in the sitting room stands up and then take that suspect with the one that was pushed by Longwe, which in my own assumption, this is my own assumption, already the one that was pushed by Longwe has gained balance, is back up and standing, and is behind now the second suspect. Am I wrong?
She said they pushed both of them towards the
Now
kitchen.
that's where the scrambled egg starts happening, because now we want to know, did you start pushing the second suspect towards the first suspect who was initially pushed by Longwe? Hence, it is important to know, when did Kelly start running? When did the second suspect started chasing Kelly?
So Zandile wanted clarity. She said that if you say he did not succeed, please explain, because I didn't see whether he succeeded or there were signs that he didn't succeed with regards to the pushing of the door and whether he got inside the room where Kelly was or not. So after that, when he couldn't enter the door, what happened to him? And then Zandi was like, lalelake, just like I explained. Lalelake, listen well. Listen, it's a command. Listen well. Just like I explained, it was an action that happened there. So when he followed Kelly to the room, Longwe pushed the one with the dreads. We all got up and pushed the one to the kitchen. So when the second suspect entered the house, the first suspect says money and cell phones. What did the second suspect say? And then Zandi's like, no, he didn't say anything. So at the time of the incident, where are Kelly Khumalo's children? And she says, if I remember correctly, Christian was running up and down, but Tingo and I had taken her to the bedroom to sleep. And Ramasipula asked, let's come to this aspect of Longwetwala pushing the first suspect away and him leaving the house via the kitchen door. The person that you say Longwe pushed is the one with the dreads and a firearm. And she said yes. So when you say Longwe stands up, pushes him, is the firearm still pointed at the people in the house? Zandi said that when Longwe pushed him, it meant the gun was no longer pointing at them. So Ramosipile asked to show a photo, and then asked her to point where Longwe was sitting, and where does he push the first intruder towards. And Zandi pointed it, and he said he pushed him towards the passage. And Ramosepele asked for another photo to be shown. And when he pushed him, what does the suspect then do? Then Zandi said he moved backwards. The second suspect, as far as Zandi knows or could recall, he was still there by the door. Then Ramosepele asked, did he take any action? Then Zandi said she could not recall well. So Ramosipele asked, after Longwe pushed the first suspect, what did he do? And then Zandi said he moved back. So the suspect moved and did nothing. Then Advocate Baloyi raised an objection, saying that it was speculation. And the judge did confirm that it is speculation. Ramosipele asked, before Longwe pushed him, did you hear any cocking of the gun? And Zandi said that she doesn't recall that. You don't recall the cocking of the gun. Then Ramasipile then asked, how long had Longwe left the house? Did the first shot go off? So how long after Longwe ran outside of the house did the first shot go off? And Zandi said, I never looked at the time. And in such a situation, when such an incident occurs, time is the last thing on the mind. Ramasipile asked, after Longwe escaped from the house, all of you stand up and approach the first suspect and pushed him towards the kitchen. Then Zandi said, we pushed both of them. We didn't push just one. Who initiated the push of the first suspect? Then Zandi said she couldn't remember who stood up first, but remembers that they all stood up. At the time of the incident, how old was Christian? Christian was born in 2010, says Zandi, between 3 and 4 at the time. So Ramasipile asked, so none of you screamed to alert neighbors that something was wrong? Then Zandi said there was noise. What I don't know about is whether the neighbors heard that because their door was closed.
That question was not answered.
No, it wasn't.
Did you scream? Or is there anyone that screamed in that house?
That's why Ramasipile repeated it. Did you scream? And Zandi said, no, I don't remember that. Ramasipile brought up Babingache's statement that there's a whistle blowing system when there's a problem in Mzamo section. The household can blow a whistle to alert incidents happening in that house so that the neighbors could come out, the community could come out and assist. So Zandi says that she doesn't know, that she knows about the whistle blowing system, but she once heard about it, but at home they didn't have a whistle.
Convenient. Just to disturb you, Emil, I've been seeing here people saying Steve Kompela is weak, I cannot wait for Advocate Nisi and Msholo. See, the problem with us, public opinion, is that we know what we should be asked, right?
Yes.
But the problem is that without Ramusipil, all these people will break in loose, because that means you are cooking. You start by peeling the potato. You still need to chop and chop the vegetable and start cooking yourself.
Yes.
And I said
And
this.
after that,
I
wash
said
the
this. I
dishes.
said this last time. I said I would like to see the inverse of that lineup, if it's possible. Mshololo starting with cross-examination, so that others can also leap in the shoulders of Mshololo and continue, because what makes other advocates that follows Ramsipi look good is that they everything has been laid for them, and he's questioning, and it's for the second time I'm explaining this. I've realized that at the first time, his questioning is of that person who knows that there is a finisher.
Yes.
I'm the creator.
Yes.
Then there's going to be someone who's going to take the ball from me and give it to middles, and from the middles, and then we've got the strikers that are finishing.
So he's laying a foundation.
Hence, his questioning one is not organized.
No.
And it shouldn't be organized. Because once it's organized, then it's like you are defending against yourself.
Yes.
Because they will know what is coming.
And when you do cross-examination, it's a bad idea to follow a procedure. Of
Yes.
which with Mshololo, if she was the first, it was not going to work.
So you cannot go from Department 1 to Department 2, Department 3,
You
Department 4.
need to be.
You are the first person. You are confusing this person. When they goes to sleep, they must not know what is coming tomorrow.
And already.
As most of you even here are sort of confused what is to come tomorrow. What is Mnisi going to focus on? No one knows. But if Ramsipit went there and started asking questions in that order, it was going to be clear.
It was going to be clear
Yes.
what he will ask.
What is the next person? What is the next person gonna say? What is but the way he's asking, even you as a watcher, you were confused.
Exactly. And some people were complaining, they were bored.
Yes. And one thing that I must recommend that man for is his strength is that he does not get agitated easily.
Yes.
And
especially
can
by
you
a hostile
imagine
witness.
Can you imagine Mshololo at the beginning? I'm asking you.
When Zandi's busy
saying,
like
listen.
you are
And
telling me
Mshololo
it's French.
And Mshololo, she's Zulu, right?
Yes.
So lalela ke
Lalelage.
ukudelela in Zulu.
Exactly.
You know? So I would like to have seen that, because most of the time we don't give credit to someone who laid everything properly. But continue.
He is needed to
110%. Even D4 people started seeing the importance of D4 when he was gone.
When he was gone, right?
All the work that
You
he
don't
did,
need
that
to be
even now.
hostile all the time with when you're cross-examining as a lawyer. Sometimes the gentle approach does work. It works.
Even now, this case, the way it is going, it still has some part of 375.
Yes.
Because of D4. No one else.
Yes. So at the time he was getting fire baptism from the public, calling him unprofessional. Yara. You have any time to judge a professionalism.
And if he didn't act like that, if he didn't act the way he was hostile and not taking no for an answer, that thing was crushed, if you remember.
Yeah.
375 was
gone.
crushed.
It was never going to be used. Never.
So today we are celebrating what is happening, but we forgot that someone had to lay and put his sweat down, and then from there, other people worked on it nicely.
And Mshololo shined because of that extra information, you know?
Exactly.
Okay, so people that converged at that house came there, and Mr. Ngache himself blew the whistle. Zandi said that she can say that she reached Mapiri's house and never heard a whistle. She even returned from the hospital and never had a whistle. So as to whether he was standing there, he can come and explain. So that will be the loudest whistle to be heard from your house to the hospital, ma'am. That's what Ramasipele was saying.
That was agitation. I mean, there was a lot of conniving and...
No, Zandi was being very aggro. Okay, so Baloy then objected, and the judge said, sorry, did Mr. Ngache make a statement? So Baloy said, yes, my lord, we have recently been informed that Mr. Ngache has since passed on. Now, this news broke my heart, honestly speaking. And Baloy said that he had heard this last week. So the state informed the court that Ubabu Ngache, one of the Khumalo neighbors in Vosloorus who was on the witness list, passed away 2 weeks ago, allegedly.
So we're left with the son now.
Yes, the two sons.
And that's a man that was speaking freely with no fear, right?
Yeah, for those who may not know who he is, he made an appearance also on the Netflix documentary. He's a former police officer. So he's the one who was speaking on what he saw was happening during that day and that night. In the documentary, to be specific, he spoke about Christian, the small boy, Kelly Khumalo's son.
That went there.
So yeah, may his soul rest in peace. This news honestly broke my heart. It broke my heart. I was like, oh, of course, this case is not going anywhere.
But you see what I talked about the other time, that the state is capable of knowing things and keeping it to themselves.
The fact that...
and then not even at the right time, at the wrong time, when you need that statement, when you have prepared and your line of questioning was going to include that statement, you are told right there on the scene that you cannot use that now.
So yeah, it had to go. The statement had to go, unfortunately. And I wanted to really hear what was.
And
in
it
that
changes
statement.
everything. So basically, it's a lot of things that Ramusipil is doing for the others. Now they have a time to go and change their script. Whatever that they're going to be asking now, it should exclude that. And probably most of it had that. So now they have a chance of going and revise because they know that is going to be objected. You know, when you are in a stand and you've prepared very well, and then someone comes and tells you cannot use that now. Maybe out of that preparation you had like 5 questions, and that those 5 questions were gonna make your whole conversation and your line of cross-examining look smoother and organized. Now it's jumping from left to right because
They announced in the court
yes.
that the witness is no more. Now you have to change your strategy. So even for those who are blaming Ramusipele for his approach, can you realize how this affected his cross-examination? This alone.
Yeah, it removes a lot of things.
You are
because,
being told as you are cross-examining that one of the witnesses has passed on.
Because if I remember very well, the statement, or if not the statement, but that man was on record in saying that there was a scuffle. Was it Tifo who brought it? There was a scuffle. Someone was wearing something whitish, but there was no one.
A white T-shirt. That white T-shirt evidence in a statement that was brought up in the last trial
It's
came
gone.
from Babnache's statement. Now it's gone.
It's gone now.
Now it's gone.
Someone who
So-
said, no, I didn't see anyone. We just saw, we heard the noise, but there was a bit
And
of...
we saw the window, a white T-shirt. There was a man facing a window, the white T-shirt on the window,
Hey.
and of which Senzo was wearing a white T-shirt.
It's gone.
Now that part is out
That
there.
changes the whole ball game. Most important people are gone. Brigadier Ndlovu, is it Brigadier Ndlovu?
Yes.
Gone.
The one who was actually working on the crime scene was
The boys that said they saw something, gone. The neighbor, the closest neighbor, gone.
So people, you are complaining about Ramusipili. Well, part of his demeanor had to do a lot with what do I do now? Perhaps that was an hour's worth of cross-examination. Gone. Just like that. He had to put the statement aside. So Ramusipili then asked, you then realized that you couldn't reach. Now this part is where they were being asked about Tumelo's crutches and the use thereof. Then Tumelo Madlala took the crutch from you and hit the second suspect. Is that correct? Then Zandi said yes. What was the reason for you not to be able to reach the suspect with the crutch? She said, firstly, I'm short, and again, there were other people in front of me, even though I can't remember who was in front of me. Ramusipili asked for a short adjournment, and then the judge asked, are you tired of cross-examining? You see? This is how it affected Ramusipili now that I think about it. And do you think that when I was watching it didn't even cross my mind?
No, it won't. It won't, because you want to see this. You have adrenaline of seeing what comes next. Please show us your punches.
So Ramusipili was like, at this point, my lord, I am, you could tell that right there disturbed him. Okay, so court adjourned, and it is understood that Mr. Ngache passed on. So after the adjournment, Ramusipili continued with his cross-examination and asked, you say Tumelo took the crutch and hit the suspect with it. Then Zandi said yes. Where exactly did he hit him? And she said that she wasn't sure where he hit him, but he hit him. And an exhibit was used to demonstrate here. So according to Zandi, both the suspects had their backs against the kitchen door during the scuffle as Senzo was wrestling for a gun from the gunman. She said that she can't remember who was in front of suspect 2 because it was busy and people were moving around. So Ramusipili asked, how long did you take to observe the facial features on the suspects in that busyness. And Zandi said the kitchen light is very bright. You can even see a fly flying past. I first saw the suspect in the dining room, and I had seen the second suspect standing by the door in the kitchen, and she said that she wanted to hit this suspect with a crutch in the face. So what role was everyone playing in that fight? And Zandi said everyone was trying to hit in a way that they know them personally. She could not reach. So she's saying personally on her behalf, her capacity, she could not reach. But everyone was hitting in a way they know how. So Ramasipile asked, in that confined space, all of you fitted there. That's the kitchen. Remember that kitchen from us seeing, since this time, they are prohibiting us from seeing the exhibits. But from the last time we did say how small the kitchen really was for 6 people to actually be scuffling or really fighting in that kitchen. 6 people is a lot of people.
A lot.
So she says that there was no fat person. So all of them fitted in there. Mind you, not only did they fit, but they were also wrestling. A lot was happening, right? There's movement.
Yes.
So Ramasipile then asked, in what position was Senzo when the gun shot went off? Were they still in that position with the suspects back against the door? Then Zandi said as far as she could recall, yes. And was the spark from the barrel or the muscle flash, was it from the bullet hitting the floor? Then Zandi said, I said before, there's no spark that I saw. I heard something hit the floor. Then I felt a spark on my leg. Now this is another place where the other defense attorneys can play, because what is she saying?
So that means the first shot was straight to the floor,
to the tile. She felt the spark. She didn't even see the spark, which is very worrying. How are you sure that what hit
was
your
that
leg
the
was a
first
spark?
or the second sound, or it was the first sound then you felt the spark?
It was the first sound, as she says, but then she's not sure whether the sparks were coming from the barrel just as the bullet was released, or they came from when the bullet hit the ground. That is the part that she could not confirm. And on top of that, you are saying that a spark hit your leg. So how do you know that it's a spark that hit your leg?
It's a very good question.
So Ramasipile then asked, at the time the fire went off, did you see the gun? Then Zandi said that her eyes were all over the place. She couldn't say whether she heard it. She wouldn't say that she saw the firearm, but heard something hit the floor and the spark hit her on the leg. So while you were in the bathroom, you heard a second and a third gunshot. Is that correct? Then she said yes. The first and second shot were of the same loudness, and the third one was not as loud as the first. Correct? And then she said that's correct. They were both coming from the kitchen, those gunshots, all of them. So between the bathtub and the basin, where were you squatting and kneeling? She said she did both squat and kneel. How long did the fight in the kitchen for getting up and pushing them until you reached the kitchen and the first gunshot?
Yes.
And Zandi said, as I've already said, time is the last thing that you look at when something of this nature happens. Sometimes it feels like a long time, and sometimes it's quick. So by this time, I could already pick up that she's refusing with time, and she's using Tumelo's approach when it comes to the time issue.
Yeah, no, the time is now. From the word go, we did mention that time is going to be very difficult to come now because of whatever. I don't know. Remember last time was an issue because when they talked about time, they were questioned about time.
She
So
said
now,
in a hurtful situation, the time is quick. Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes it's slow. So Zandi pointed where she was squatting. The bathroom door, she said it opens towards the inside. So she was reminded of her peeping scene where she saw Senzo falling and Kelly following and their mom following after, and then the first suspect following them. So Kelly's phone was charging, and today she said that she was not sure if it was charging on the armrest or the TV stand. So today she doesn't remember how their mother took the phone out of the charger. All she remembers is seeing her mother holding Kelly's phone because she was facing that way. Remember how yesterday with Maloi, everything was just smooth. My mother took the phone out of the charger and then she was struck with an elbow. Today, no, she doesn't remember. She just knows that her mother was facing that way. And the phone, she now had the phone in her hands. She did not see the mother take the phone out of the charger.
Exactly.
So suspect number 1 hit her mom with an elbow and the phone was taken from her hands. At least this she can say, that the phone was taken from her hands, because she said yesterday that the phone fell on the couch. Did she not say that yesterday?
Yeah,
Were we listening to the same thing?
Yeah, it did.
The suspects were now all gone, and then she went and sought for help.
Yeah.
Then Ramasipili says you tried calling 10-111. And then Zandi said that her mind froze. It's not that she doesn't know 10-111, but at the time, a lot was happening and she didn't know whether she was dialing or what she was doing. But you are with Kelly and your mother in that room. Why did you not give one of them or call a call for assistance? Why didn't you ask them, what's the emergency services number? And then Zandi's like, they were also crying. I could see that they were also in my position. So I was looking for someone who was sober-minded. Mina ngithi, as you are walking to Mapiri's house, and then the fresh air is hitting you, I don't know whether you were walking or running. It didn't come at all, 10-111.
Yeah. No.
Then
Mapiri was the 10-111.
Mapiri was the 10-111. Then she said, Ramasipili asked, on your way to Mapiri, you saw a car parked belonging to Ntabiseng, right? Why did you not ask Ntabiseng for help? She said that she was not used to Ntabiseng. Mapiri is their mother's friend. She was used to coming to their house all the time. So her mind took her to Mapiri. Then court adjourned for 10 minutes. Ramasipili asked to fetch his file of exhibits, even though they had said that they were in the crate, but he preferred fetching his own file of exhibits. So court was now back in session, and the first question that Zandi was asked if she knew Thamsanqa Gabuza. And she says she knows him as Senzo's friend. Who's Thamsanqa Gabuza?
The funny guy who's always making jokes. I think I've shared that video with you at some point when he likes making jokes. Wherever he is, people are laughing.
He's a comedian.
He's comedian type of guy. He's playing, I think now, I don't know whether he's still in Supersport, but in the
locker room.
Yeah, the locker room guy, yes. Yes, that's Thamsanqa Gabuza.
Ramasipili then asked, have you met him before? Then Zandi said yes. Senzo used to invite him when we had ceremonies at home. It seems like a lot of things were happening with Senzo and ceremonies. I'm like, ceremonies. Then Ramasipili then asked, would I be correct to say that he was familiar to you? And then Zandi said, yes, Mr. Gabuza made a statement. And the judge asked what the basis was of that statement. And he quoted from the statement to Ramasipili saying that I can also state, and I quote, I can also state that at certain times, Senzo told me before he died that. And then Baloyi shut down that very quickly by objecting. And he said that the question is based on hearsay. So the question will be unfair. So, yeah, and the judge overruled it. So we don't know what was said in that statement.
And I am looking at the comment here. There's a Ndonga Shamas. You are right. I think mostly my worry is that I'm almost certain that these guys will be released, but the chance of finding out what happened are almost at zero, unless something or someone.
As for finding out what happened that night, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Then Rabu Sipili said, you testified that you met with the person who was to sketch people who entered the house. Then Zandi said, yes. So if you recall, when did you meet Warrant Officer Steenkamp? And Zandi said it was on the day of the making of the statements. They were taken to the room to assist with the drawing of the identikits. So Warrant Officer Steenkamp said in a statement that Zandi gave a similar version and profile of a suspect A.
Yeah.
Suspect A.
Yeah.
So she only contributed about the eyebrows. She only saw the eyebrows when the suspect lost their hat during the scuffling with the deceased. But importantly, she says she couldn't give the description of the second suspect.
Yes.
What is your comment? She was asked. Zandi said that at the time, remember this is fresh after the incident, isn't like the following day, right? Or am I wrong? It was the following day, and Zandi saying that at the time they were under a lot of shock.
Yeah.
Some things come back after a while, as you recall, bit by bit.
Okay.
When you got here in court, she says that when she got into court, her body, her spirits, and everything came back when she saw him.
So her memory doesn't have what we call reducing in
rate.
As a
The
reducing
older
rate.
you
The older you move
an
away from the
incident,
situation.
the more details you forget.
Hers is the opposite of that. She remembers most of what happened in the past.
older she gets.
She would probably tell you how she used to jump around when she was 4. That's her memory.
She can still remember when she was in her mother's womb, honey.
Something like that.
So Ramusipile then asked, but do you agree that you did not tell Warrant Officer Steenkamp about those features? And Zandi said, when I went into that room, others had already given their descriptions. I was shown his sketch. I agreed that that was him. That's why I never contributed anything. So if you agreed that that was him, then that was him.
You could have said, yeah, the guy.
If he didn't look like that sketch, you could have said, but this sketch doesn't look like the guy that I saw.
What is your comment on the sketch, basically? All that woman
You
wanted.
could have simply asked Warrant Officer Steenkamp to start over on a new page, because what you saw is very, very different from what you are seeing there that she has already drawn, honey. I say, I remember that face. I remember it well. Ngiyakutshela, Steenkamp probably would have taken a new page and started over.
That is her job.
That's her job. But then Ramusipele asked, did you or did you not give a Warrant Officer Steenkamp those features that you testified about in court, correct? Then Zandi said that it was already there. There was nothing else to add. Ramusipele asked, I will take that as a no.
That's
Zandi
the only
then
thing you
said,
can do.
that's up to you. Well, then, in all the 3 statements you've made to the police, from giving them facial features of the person, you say was the second, who would you say was the second suspect? And Zandi said that in the first statement, the first was under Valka or something like that. Tugana, the first police officer who assisted them with their statements, Bega Tugana. That's what she said. And the additional statement was question and answering. So the second statement that she did, it was more of a question and answer type of thing. And so if that question never came to her, she was not going to answer it. And then on the 27th of October, the police were sympathizing with Zandi. Remember, she did say it, even that they said that they were too emotional. And Ramasipela asked and said they were not harsh on you. Is that correct? Then Baloyi said, I don't know what the basis is for that question. One thing Baloyi will do is object.
Objecting is sort of, it's something that should happen, but what you should also look at, it does distract you from whatever that you are asking, and rephrasing or even leaving the question, because there could be a question that would emanate after the answering of that question. So by all means, he would take any chance of objecting. He would take any chance of objecting.
If there's one thing he will do, he will object, honey. Ugari, the objections are corner. He has a list of them in his head.
So like, you would sleep and wake up, objection, my lord.
Objection, my lord.
That's the difference that you would see with Baloyi. And you go to our defense
Attorney.
And they're all about
advocates.
yes.
They don't object much. They don't object much. He still has to do a re-examination. I want to
could
see
take 3
more
days.
objection. More objections, please, would be appreciated. Especially if there's an off-ramping. Yabo.
Yes.
So Ramasipile asked the ID parade, the second suspect, you said you'd never seen them before the 26th of October. And she said you've never attended an ID parade with regards to suspects 1 to 5. And Zandi said, yes, that's correct. So the first ID parade, she asked for the person to come closer. Zandi said she never identified anyone in the ID parade at JP. So Ramasipile then asked, has a parade document, he handed in a parade document which was part of the exhibits, and it says on that document that number 2, Zandi asked for number 2 to come to the front, and you identified / said who was wearing a brown jacket, a t-shirt, and a black jean. Then Baloyi said that she identified them as a person who had similar features. And the judge was like, is that what the policeman wrote? Uyawazi amaphoyisa mos. I wonder this thing of our police. It's catching up in the courts. It's catching up in the courts like... At this point, I was laughing. I was like, I think it's time for body cams in South Africa. There's no way. We need confirmation from the police. Okay? So Ramasipili then had to withdraw that, and went to the dock of the identity accused 1, accused number 2, and accused number 3.
Can you believe that there's someone who's saying we are not audible? I think we are.
Guys, are we audible or not? Are we audible or not? Before we go on, and I'm just...
No, continue.
silence.
There is interaction here, so...
Okay. So he appeared in court on the 27th of October 2020. Did the police call you for an ID parade and arrange for purposes of identifying him? This is with regards to suspect or accused number 2. Do you know whether the ID parade was held? And Baloyi objected, saying that how will she know? And then the judge overruled it. So she didn't attend any ID parade, basically, with concerns to the arrest of accused 1 to 5. And the person you identified as the second suspect, did that person have any special features or characteristics that you were impressed on you at the scene? And on the 26th of October 2014, and Zandile said that she doesn't understand the question. After clarifying the question, Zandi said that she remembers his entire face as it was. He remembers his height and his body. So now she remembers the entire face. After the incident, she just saw a sketch and was like, they all agreed it's him. And she added the eyebrows. That's it.
That's it. Only the eyebrows.
So accused number 2 Did the police tell you that they have arrested new suspects in that matter? Zandi said no, they didn't come to her. It's something that she heard on the news. So Ramasipele asked, when did you learn about their arrests? She said she couldn't remember. All she heard was that she was informed. Someone informed her. So they appeared for the first time in Boxback when their photos were now in the media. When did you see their faces for the first time? Then Zandile said she avoids TV, especially the news. So this trial is something that she's trying to forget about, even if the situation forces her to remember. So I guess the situation...
Yet she talks about it and mostly, like in interview, it's the first thing. Sometimes ENCA, it was like she came for that. When I listened to that.
Release a song and talk about the case.
Something like that.
Then Zandi says that she first noticed accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, who she says was the one of the intruders when Mthokosi Sitwala was testifying. When did Mthogo testify? Sometime last year.
Sometime last year, yes. I remember the highly anticipated
So
Mthogo.
when she did that interview, she's trying to tell us she hadn't seen suspects 1 to 5. Because when she was doing that interview, it was during the trial.
Yes. And she
saw
hadn't...
Defo.
And
she saw Defo because she even posted about Advocate Defo. She saw Advocate Defo and what Advocate Defo was doing in court.
In fact, she even said...
See
in fact, she didn't say... She even said that if that case still has Defo on the very same interview, we don't know where it's going.
But she
and
didn't
at the
say
time, when Mthogo was testifying... she also, according to the interview, did not know she was going to testify.
Ramasipele asked if she then told the police. She says she knew her day would come to speak. Ramasipele asked, from October 2014 and now compared to when you see him now, the memory has faded. And Zandile was like, let me start by saying an incident like that was starting to happen in my life, and in my mind it does not go away. I believe even in 20 years' time, I will remember. Yet you don't remember the color of the firearm, ma'am.
No, she doesn't.
Accused number 1 asked
But she
for
could see a
Ramasipele-
fly
but she
at the
could see
kitchen.
a fly at the kitchen. Accused number 1 asked for Ramasipele to approach the bench. There's something that they needed to say, and then there was a lunch adjournment. So after the lunch adjournment, the defense attorney or the defense played the TV interview she did while the Senzo Meyiwa trial was underway. Now, for this part, I'll only mention the highlights because, yeah, it was quite a lot of details in there. And I don't know about you guys, but we did react to it on the channel. I'll try and attach a link to that reaction we made last year, if I can find it or if I find the time, honey. So in the interview, Zandi said that the first suspect should be the girlfriend or the wife, but Mandisa is not being investigated. Her phone is not being taken. Zandi in the interview also said that Mandisa was against Senzo and Zandile Khumalo's relationship. So to what length did she go to stop lobola negotiations? Could it be that they brought people to target Kelly and not Senzo to make sure this does not happen? She also in the interview questioned the origins of the controversial 2019 docket and the motives thereof, which names the people who were in the house as suspects. Now, unless you just want to pin something on the people who were in the house, she said, she felt like she was being targeted. You understand? At the time. She also said that she has no confidence in the state. She said that they were not called to ID these people. Why? She says the first time she saw the 5 suspects, they wore masks and could not tell if any of the 2 alleged intruders was amongst the 5. Now this, we even had an argument at that time because people were talking that she says that she didn't see the suspect at the first time they got arrested because it was during COVID times. We had masks on. And she couldn't see them then, and we were feeling like she was talking about the incident itself, that they were wearing masks in the incident. No, she says that it's because of that. But then now we are questioning, because this interview was during the trial and you had a lot to say about Advocate Tifo's performance in court. So as you are watching Advocate Tifo's performance in court, you did not see the 5 suspects, right? Right.
No, she didn't.
So Zandi has questioned why the police are not broadening their investigation, calling it fishing in the same pond for 8 years. She said that there's a lot about the law in South Africa, or the police here in South Africa. Why don't we find other people that we can question? Let Mandisa be questioned too. Even Senzo's mother sitting at home, let her be investigated. Those were some of the outrageous claims. That interview, guys, it angered me. I still have a grudge against them for doing that interview. I don't know what she was thinking. It was horrible. It was one of the worst things I'd seen on television. And even going as far as calling Umama Senzo, saying that usebenzi sumuti and stuff like that. It was so cringy. But yeah, they brought it up again today at court. Mr. Anonymous, what did you think about them pulling the interview?
Yeah, it's a good thing. I would start with it if I was Nisi tomorrow. And my line of questioning would go as follows. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that those people that entered in your house while you were enjoying and indulging with your friends and chilling were people that wanted to steal cell phone? Do you believe that was robbery gone wrong? And based on her answer, we probably should say yes or no. If she says yes, then I would say, if that is the case, would you rather, since you said people are fishing in the same pond for long, and you even suggested names, and according to your theory, when a husband passes away, as according to your also sister's song, a suspect is always a wife or a girlfriend. So in this case, a girlfriend has been questioned and you feel that now it's time for a wife. Would you believe that, or do you believe that those people were sent by the mastermind?
Good question.
Was it the mastermind that sent those people?
Good question. Do you think they had a boss that they were doing the job for?
And if she says yes to that, there could be a mastermind, then okay, since there could be a mastermind, what do you think their aim was? And obviously, based on what we have heard, probably should answer and say that it was to take Kelly out, right?
Yes.
So if it was to take Kelly out, as you said, these people came in and stood there so they could see Kelly. Why do you think they didn't take Kelly out?
Why?
I mean, they allowed her to run and do all those things.
Go
they still,
to the bedroom.
yes,
They could have forced their
they
way
could have forced their way if they wanted Kelly. More so after the incident of Senzo, they could have forced their way and did whatever that they needed to do.
If the instruction was to
Since you are
get
saying
Kelly.
that there must be investigation because there was this collaboration of mother and the wife, they could you wanted to test the length in which they could go to. So these people probably they came there to do something else, as you said. Then if that was the case, then why point at Senzo? Since you are saying that Mandisa could have sent them, do you think Mandisa would have wanted to take her husband out?
That is the question. I would like to hear what she thinks. Do you think that? Do you think that's the case?
And since you've pointed these two, since you are saying that in fact there's only 2 people that entered your house, so do you think that the rest of these other ones, the 3, are guilty also? Since you said only 2 went in your house, you don't need this other one, only 2, and you've pointed them already.
So Ramasipili, after playing that interview, asked, you said in the interview they were wearing masks. You couldn't identify them. Who are you referring to? And then Ms. Khumalo said, I was referring to the accused. Which accused? You must remember at the time that it was during the time of COVID and everyone was expected to wear masks. Ramasipili, you mean here in the court? Yes. And the judge said, you haven't put your version of a defense because this is the time where Ramasipili was now like, my lord, this is it. But then the defense came through and it's a statement of accused number one. It's his side of the story, what happened to him when he got arrested. So it's quite a long one, but I'm going to try and summarize it a bit. She said that accused number one will come and testify that at the time of his arrest, he was staying in Tembisa with his uncle. On the 30th of May 2020, he had gone out to buy airtime at the shops. On the way, he encountered two of his friends that he only knows by the nicknames Boy and Brother. By then, he had already bought airtime, and Boy and Brother were heading to someone called Sipho's house. He then joined the two as he had already knew who Sipho was, and he went to chill at Sipho's place. As he is there, he observed a white, but later on he corrected it to be red after going to the bench, approaching the bench and asking Mr. Sibia, who's accused number one. So it was a red VW motor vehicle sedan parking at a Pakistani tuck shop, and Ramasipile approached the bench, yes, to consult, to ask about that. And in that car there was a female driver with two male passengers. So one of the passengers from that car got out into the tuck shop, bought a bottle of water and some bananas. He returned back to the vehicle, and the vehicle never left the area where it was parked. As they was just chilling with the people he was with, a few moments, a Metro police officer arrived with a rifle, and went to the red car. After talking to the people that were in the car, he then saw that Metro police officer crossing the road, coming towards their direction, pointing the rifle at them. At some stage, while they were looking at that police officer and the other people that were in that coming to where the police officer was, so there were other police officers that now started to join this police officer who had come to them. He doesn't know whether the other Metro police officers came from, but he says that there's a wall in a house next to brother's house, but he saw several other Metro police officers with rifles walking in a crouching manner, also coming to join this officer to where they were chatting. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? It's like they were fetching a serious criminal. Once all the officers were there, they were ordered to lie down on their stomachs. They complied, and one of the officers asked them what their names were and they came from and where they came from, stating that he's from Mahlabatini, Nongoma in KZN. They pulled him up to his feet, they searched him and confiscated his phones. They laid him again on his tummy. They took the other two persons that he was with and they searched them and laid them again on the ground. He was then taken to that car that was parked opposite, and together with there were other several cars now. He says it was a convoy of plus minus 10 to 15 cars, police vehicles of Ekurhuleni Metro, intelligence, all sorts of police units. And then he approached Mr. Sibia again to ask him something for clarity. And when he came back, he says that the only one that was marked is the Metro police car. So the rest of the cars we will assume were private cars, but the only one that were marked were Metro police. So from there, he was forced to go to the police or to the place where he rented out with his uncle in Tembisa. Fortunately, when they got there, they found his uncle and Koli, his uncle's co-worker, sitting at the gate. They told his uncle that he has been arrested. They forced his uncle to go and open the room in which both him and his uncle were staying, and they searched that area. A search was conducted and nothing was found in those premises, and then they left. But before they left, his uncle asked one of the officers by the name of Bongani where they were taking accused number 1. So Bongani replied by saying rather the uncle give them their contact number, then they will let him know later. He was taken to what looked like a municipality offices in Tembisa. At that place, all those police officers who were there when he was arrested were all those police officers that were there when he was arrested that were at the municipality place. So at that place, he was told that he was going to tell the truth that they wanted to hear from him. And he was held with a plastic bag tightened in his face, covering his face, nose, mouth, and eyes. They sprayed him with pepper spray, tortured him for several hours, from the 30th of May until he was made to sign a confession and do a pointing out. He was tortured from that day until he confessed on the 6th of June 2020. It stopped. Well, actually later on he corrected it to say that on the 5th, that's when it stopped. On the 6th, they took him home in KZN. So the judge corrected Mr. Ramosepili here by saying that he shouldn't say your client confessed. It's like you're admitting, because later on it will come back to bite you when they are saying that you said your client confessed. So he had to change that into saying that once he had done that as a commission,
going with the
of
narrative,
offense.
yes.
Yes. So it's like a false statement of commission of an offense. So once he had done that, as a peace atonement, the police officers that arrested him told him that from the 30th until the 6th of June, he had never seen his family. So nobody in his family knew where he was. Having signed that statement implicating himself, on the 6th of June, after the police asked what he wanted to be done for him, he asked to see his uncle. So then, something interesting happened. When he was approaching the bench, I heard whispers. I don't know if I'm the only one, coming from Zandi and the interpreter. Zandi said that she was tired. And the interpreter said that Ramosepili was the one making him tired. Allegedly, but I heard it. I don't know if I'm the only one. Then they took him home to KZN in 2 police cars to see his family. So when they got home, he was not allowed to leave the car while they were there. The police officers went inside, introduced themselves to the parents, and told them that they are with him and that he was in the car and he's charged for the commission of that offense. After the police sent his father to talk to him in the car, he then told his father that he had nothing to do with this offense and that he only agreed to sign that statement because he was tortured and assaulted. And they forced him to agree to that he did do the crime with some of the Buthelezi brothers. So I don't know who the Buthelezi brothers are, okay? I don't know. He told them that he was being kept mainly in a police station in Pretoria called Valeria. After they brought the mother, then they brought the cousin, and individually they were talking to him in the car. He says he repeated the same denials and affirms that he made to his father with regards to his story. And therefore he denied that he was involved in the commission of this offense. Now, with respect to accused number 2, he was arrested in phase 2 Rustenburg, where he resided, and he was working in the mine in Rustenburg. He says it was on the evening of the 16th of June when 2 police officers arrived at his place. This is in 2020. They told him that they were looking for a person. They showed him photos from a cell phone. The person they showed him had tattoos, a gold inlet in one of his tooth, and also had a prison gang tattoos of the 28th gang on his arm. Accused number 1.
So that's a gold tattoo.
The gold tooth, yes. Accused number 1, he was assaulted until he signed 2 statements incriminating himself. He also denies that he was involved in the commission of this offense. So the judge asked Mr. Sibia to stand up and asked him if he understood what his defense attorney was saying as his defense, and he said that he added extra information. He said that he was beaten from the 30th to the 5th of June, and the 6th is the time that he was taken home. They were also assaulting him in the company of other people, but it was not the accused that he was with today in court. So Mr. Ntanzi was also the judge asked if he had his defense, that's accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, and Ntanzi also added extra information, and he said that he was not only assaulted for 1 day, but it was a couple of days, and he doesn't remember the dates, but he was not kept at one police station. They moved him around a lot of police stations, but there's one date that he does remember, and that date is the 19th, when he was taken back to Carltonville, where he first worked. Remember, he worked in the mines, so it looks like he worked in Carltonville at some point when he first began working. Then after they finished assaulting him at night, they took him back to Rustenburg where he was working, and what they arrested him for is something that he doesn't know, and what they arrested him for is something that he doesn't know. He even accused number 3 and 4, he doesn't know them, but he does know accused number 5 by seeing him, but they are not acquaintances. So the people that took him are Gininda and Mohali and Mapena. So Advocate Nisi will begin his cross-examination tomorrow. Time had already passed. He was even asking for a brief adjournment.
Is there no interview? I'm reading here. Is there no interview where Zandi was talking about, maybe is it interview or Showmax, talking about them wearing balaclavas?
It was a radio interview, but what I can sense is that I feel like it's been wiped off the internet, in my opinion. In my opinion, I can't find it. But it was a radio interview. I don't know which radio station it was. Was it Metro or Massive Metro? I can't remember properly. It's so long ago. She was with Longwe in that interview. She did say balaclavas, if I remember correctly. And now it feels like I was dreaming. But I'm happy I'm not the only one. Is there someone who can confirm that interview for me? Because I can't find it.
We'll look for it.
Honestly, guys, I can't find. I looked, I scraped the internet. I'm like, was I dreaming or what? Am I the only one who heard that interview? It was way back. I was still in a student. I was still studying.
I think I heard it.
And I was like,
it was Gagas FM, eh? Yeah.
It was Gagasi FM.
Yeah, I think so.
I have to go to the archives of Gagasi then and find that interview, because girl, wow, I feel like I was dreaming. I feel like you never said that. I remember the balaclava story. I remember it.
It is needed here.
It is so needed. No wonder why I
guys, you can
it.
call now. I think the lines are open.
Yeah, these details, guys, exhausting. Yes, Katazu Lorraine, but it's fine. We will deal with it and unpack it as Funugum Sugel.
Yeah, so we can have calls. You can call. Nothing much to unpack today. Let's see on WhatsApp. Hi, I like your show. My thinking is that everyone who testified last time will come with a different approach.
We can already see it.
And if someone drinks alcohol, it is absorbed into the bloodstreams. If one makes themselves spew it, it does not mean they become sober. That's true. That's what I was thinking about. I've tried that thing, by the way, of trying to make myself sober when I used to indulge that thing. You get more drunk.
You get more drunk.
For me, it was like that.
Out nutrients, and the less nutrients you have, obvious, you're gonna be easily drunk.
No, for me it was like that. I just it didn't work the same way that people think it works. I don't know. Let's wait for your calls, guys. The number is scrolling below. For international people, it's plus 27. That's the number.
But you know, Mr. Anonymous, before we open, like we can open the lines, but let me quickly say something. This interrogating without evidence type of approach and isn't it scary, guys? Isn't it scaring you that police can just walk up?
That's an old way. That way that we cannot talk about or in interrogation way style, or where you were guilty, be guilty, and then you need to be proven not guilty.
I'm like, was there even a search warrant?
But basically, what we couldn't have been sitting here if you take a look at this case, because if this man had a lawyer, money,
Search warrant.
a lot of things I don't think were followed to the T.
Did you read my client their rights before you arrested them? Stuff like that.
Yes.
And you can't detain. You know you can't be easily detained when you have a lawyer. You can't just be detained for 2 weeks without
knowing why.
So there's an animal farm type of vibe that I'm getting here, and
Obvious, if you don't have money, we did say that if you don't have money, a lot of things actually happens.
they just take you and they kidnap you allegedly. They like make you sign allegedly, because for now we can't prove it.
Yeah.
Allegedly, it hasn't
Yeah,
been proven in a court
is.
of law, but it just is scary, man. It doesn't feel right.
There is. I'm reading here, Mabo. There was also an interview where Kelly explains how they beat the two guys up. They mentioned that they even used the wooden spoons, the one that cooks pap, accessed from the kitchen drawer. You remember that?
I don't know that interview.
There's a lot of interviews that these people have done. There is something like that, allegedly, because you don't know it, Emil.
You know, it would be nice if you had even a shred nyana of a lead nyana of an evidence. Like, I don't understand this interrogation with nothing approach. Because I was even thinking, because I watch content creators from the US, especially true crime stuff, and you could see that there's body cams. Those body cams are very useful, you know?
Yeah, they always help.
And I'm
But
like,
in South Africa,
it
even
seems
if
like that is never gonna happen.
even if they are there, Emil, don't you think they will conveniently go off like load shedding?
No, if they go off, why are they being
Mzansi
used
Reality,
in
hello.
court?
Zanzi, hello.
Hi, well, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, Mr. Masha. Family, speaking to speech here.
Yes.
That's good, guys. That's a well-educated, actually, platform that you're performing there. I just have got 2 or 3 questions to ask you. In the first instance, how many, how tall or how long? Okay, from the ground floor to the ceiling. How do you think is that actually? I grew up in Tembisa, so unfortunately cannot have idea. How do you think how tall, the distance between the ceiling and the floor?
I'm missing that part of your question.
No. You grew up in Kasi, so you know you grew up in Kasi. Okay, that's my first question to you, but I need you to impose on the other viewers. And secondly, how long was the crash? I presume it was also tall by the way. At my height, I'm 1.8. I can just reach the ceiling without any hesitation. Without even, I will have to bend my hand so that I don't go through this.
Yeah.
So how tall was the crash? How long was the crash?
How long was the crash? Yes.
So that's the most important thing. And on this scenario, guy is a contradiction here. You will pull the guy outside, but yet when he was outside, he couldn't even get help. The next day, the cop should prefer to bypass the nearest assistance so she can get help and go further down or 2-3 hours down. I don't know how long. I mean, the space is between our house opposite. The next door is just a stone throw away. Thirdly, that's yesterday it was with EPM. Sorry, you remind me.
Yeah.
The body, when you start to feel it cold, that means hours being inactive. Also an occasional.
Yeah.
If the flow of blood takes more than an hour or more than an hour to flow, the body starts to shut down. That's my question. And then we must put it there, please. Thank you, guys. I will support you every day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So many questions.
Yeah. Let's hope that people will engage on the comment section there, and they will please, guys, like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and you can communicate with us in WhatsApp. You can call us through WhatsApp.
You can also communicate on the comment
in
section.
the comment section. So if you don't have that, you just have one phone, it's fine. You can communicate like that.
Yeah, I was like the body cam situation, and I feel like we are so far as South Africa away from having that. And
even if we do have it, it will come and be a tender, and it will have faulty.
No, if it was off and the camera was off and you can't back up your claims any other way. Similar thing with taking statements. Why aren't people being recorded? And the statements being put in a voice recording format as well as a paper format, so that if the police officer took you out of context, you can still prove that the police officer took me out of context. Why are we so slow? Like, what's happening? Is it by design?
They will tell you about storage.
Their database, that's where job creation comes in, Anger. Where people have studied IT, people have things that they can do to make that work. People can do servers and maintain those servers. How are companies running in South Africa with so much data? They are able to sell insurance and things and stuff like that. How are banks operating with personal information of people in their systems? They have servers and stuff. So why can't the government do the same thing?
Oh, well. You know how South Africa is, man.
This is like a mockery. Like, it's so ridiculous. Even Judge Mokgoatlheng, when he was talking in particular with regards to the police, like, it's almost like that is not even gonna be something that he uses to he's not gonna consider it much, because it's pointless, because the police.
It is what it is, man. Guys, I see that you guys today don't have much appetite to call. I guess Steve Ovo pulled the two on you guys. You didn't have...
Did you check if what happened the other days?
No, all is good today. Okay. Unless someone says that they are not being able to go through, they must roast Ginindi. Hey, yeah. Yeah. I hear you, Snintlanhla Bingo. I hear you. Guys, I'm just gonna close this live. I don't want it to be long if there's no one who's calling. Okay. Normally we leave it to be long, unless, guys, you are blocked somewhere. I don't know, man. Last time they blocked. Zanzi, hello. Hello. Okay, disconnection. Zanzi, hello. Internet.
So today is the internet for the WhatsApp callers.
Internet?
It's the internet.
No, it's not. It's not our internet.
Are you sure?
I'm sure it's not our internet.
Hi guys, now I'm defeated. Hearing the stories of accused 1 and 2 just
The only thing
made
that
me
I'm
feel
not-
so hopeless. I was like, this is still happening. It doesn't
Mzansi, hello. Mzansi, hello.
Hello,
Hello, sir. How are you?
Mr. Anonymous.
Yes, sir.
I'm great. And you?
Good, man.
It's been a my sister Emily, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, and you?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I'm Kelani Records Okanegan Media, and thank you for the last time. You've escalated my little channel to grow a little bit longer.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
But now, here's the thing. I was a bit skeptical to call because of the load shedding issues. The last show when I called, I commented and only to find that somebody else has. I was only coming on the same line as the previous caller.
Yes.
So today I wanted to, normally I do the catch up because I think we are 2 hours away from each other. When you are you are live, I'm still on load shedding. Like last night when I got in, you were still live, and then I commented, then you were saying goodbye. It's a bye from us. So I missed you. Yeah. A dear friend to our beautiful lady there, Lorraine.
Yes.
She's quite a good actor, man. We need to recommend her to some acting agencies.
Yes.
And get her some cast. She's very good. I fully concur with Mr. Anonymous when he says not buying tears and whatnot. So I don't have much today. Jared, I just wanted to greet since you are leaving and there's no one who's calling and I'm still awake. And just thought, let me just actually. But this show is so dear and close to my heart, and my prayer has always been the fact that it should be reaching soon 100 subscribers, so that we have more brother audience to respond.
Yes.
That would be great.
Other than that, I think I will need a clarification from the 2 of you.
Yes.
Because you're very good.
Also,
I got lost when they played the video, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Ramusipiri asked that I've got only one question, which was that you did mention that you could identify when you come to the court, but on the interview you said half the time they were wearing masks. Locate right? So how did you manage? And then she mentioned something like, remember during COVID. So I think I got lost there.
Yeah.
That it was during the COVID time when they were arrested, or it was during COVID when this case happened. Was it during COVID 2014 or when they were? I thought I got lost, a little bit lost there. So maybe the 2 of them maybe might try and clear the air, or maybe it was a technical way of her trying to shy away from the question, because I think she was caught up by her own inconsistencies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I see many people, even on Twitter, certain people are saying that it did talk about that, which I think it was a confusion. I mean, let's assume it was a confusion, and Nice, maybe tomorrow, as you are asking, would be able to maybe further elaborate.
But I think what people are doing is making a connection between the interview.
Yeah, because I thought maybe where I got lost, I thought maybe her statement was based on the fact that when she issued the first statement, second statement, it was still fresh from the incident, 2014, when that she could not identify them because half the time they appeared, they went into the house, into the robbery with mask. So now all of a sudden it was during COVID when they were. So I think maybe it's something that which I got lost and I got confused. So I needed to get a clarification, more especially from this channel, because I know you never miss it.
Well, it was in regard to the freshness of the statement. Does she remember? How come in the statement she didn't remember fresh from the incident? And now for the interview, she's talking about COVID because when the suspect made their first court appearance, it was in 2020. Right?
Yeah, it was.
So because it was in 2020, we all had to wear masks. So they also appeared with masks on. That's what she was saying in the interview. That she couldn't see them because they had masks on.
I think I got confused of the fact that maybe when she had her first statement way back in 2014, appeared when they went for robbery. They appeared in that house with wearing mask.
There is the
normal people do.
You know that one is tricky. That one is tricky because
as for your friend Lorraine, she should always play around. But I think I seek to get clarification from this, specifically from this channel. I will just actually, if I miss you live, I'll do the catch up because I'm always wide awake during the course of the night, so I will get to know from you.
Okay, thank you, brother.
No, thank you so very much, Mr. Anonymous, and beautiful lady there. Thank you so very much. Keep well.
Thank you.
We'll catch up tomorrow then.
Yes.
Yawana Lendaba Leama Barat Lava is the one that's confusing people. I'm telling you, Mr. Anonymous. This Barat Lava situation is the one that's confusing people. I know people, this thing is inked in the back of their minds. It's just that I can't get a lot more people to confirm the Barat Lava issue.
The bill can stop me.
Zanzi, hello. Zanzi, hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you, sir?
Good evening, guys. I'm alright. How's it?
Good.
Yeah. Thanks for keeping my call. I just want to be short and precise.
Okay.
Initially, I thought, she said, long ran out.
Yes.
So my question is, one, how does the door open from inside or from outside? And secondly, I think there were around 7 to 8 people, like the 2 intruders and 5 people in the house. If I'm correct. So with that space in the passage in the kitchen, how were all those 7 people scuffling and fighting, one holding the gun, the other on the clutch and the space? The statement don't add up because Longo ran out and the door, he's saying it opens from inside. So he opened the door, went out and closed the door. So those are kind of things that tomorrow at least Minister can check around and see if they can ask and see what's happening then.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's what I wanted to say.
Short and precisely indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
The bill can stop me.
Mzansi, hello. Mzansi, hello.
Good evening. Hello,
Hey,
Mr.
sir, how are you?
Anonymous.
How are you, sir?
Good. I'm good. My question is, I get confused actually. When Kelly ran inside the room, the second intruder follow Kelly. When the second intruder going to Kelly, the other people, they are still with the first intruder, or they are also sitting down waiting for the second intruder so that they will push them together in the kitchen.
Yes, apparently.
When you put it like that?
Yes, apparently. That's how exactly in a nutshell the story sounds like.
All right, I thank you.
It
Thank you very
doesn't
much.
make sense, right?
Yes. Nzansi, hello. Okay. For some weird reason, that call just got dropped. I don't know why. A question that is not asked is if 3 gunshots are fired, Kwama Piri. Okay.
They didn't hear anything.
Good evening, Bafwetu. I'm late today. It's good. You can have a good night. I will watch alone. Yeah. Yes.
So
hello.
if 3 shots are fired, Mapiri, they didn't hear anything.
Let
Saying who was on the streets with a car.
Let me
She
do
didn't
this
hear
one.
anything.
Guess I dropped this one by mistake. Hello, sir. Drop by mistake. Just 1 minute of your time. And this time. Hello.
Hi, Njani.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm fine, Ben.
Yeah.
You know what, Nla? I'm looking on this case.
Yes.
What happened to me? My father was shot at home with my mother in bed, yes. After that, I was arrested, but I have to say my mother killed my father.
Mm-hmm.
The problem in South Africa is the police, they like to say things not relevant. I was arrested. I was so young, 2 years old. When I went out talking, I have to say, the police forced me to say my mother killed my father. But I couldn't that. But this case is only complicated. Because there's no way that Senzo was killed. No one could identify anyone. It's about a joke. Like as it came on, Zandile testifying, but she's lying. Everything opposite what she said last time.
Allegedly, yes.
She's lying and lying and lying and lying. And at the end of the day, who the people who killed Senzo or Zandile knows she didn't kill Senzo as a person. Senzo was killed by Kelly or longer. You can't push a gunman in the house. You can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we get you. We do get you. These people are shouting at me that I'm not answering. Sizwe Mgaga. Yes, we get you, ma'am. Allegedly
everything
to
is
everything that
alleged
was
on
said, and
reality.
So
and the views
You
and
know,
opinions.
when the man comes with a gun, you just sit down. You can't fight a gun with a crusher. That's lies.
Yeah,
I
no.
also wish the new judge can be honest and use and do for Ramaphosa, whatever it is. But that thing must not work because Zandile, Kelly, no man, or whoever was in the house, they know who shot Senzo.
Good. Right, yeah, I think...
Why are you telling me like this? Why is she going to say all those things?
I think
Senzo's mom is quiet.
I think you have put your point across. Let us, because I see the lines are pouring. Let me just give one person 1 minute, 1 minute.
That was passion right there.
So I'm just going to take a minute. Mzansi, hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you?
I'm content. I'm trying to call you guys via WhatsApp. I'm starting to buy airtime.
Thank you for coming
WhatsApp,
through.
perhaps.
Thank you for coming through.
Okay, thank you.
Zanzi, hello.
Miss Danwini.
Say Bill can stop me now. Let's keep chasing the sun. Do what can be done. Let's go beyond.
Yo. Sorry, you can continue. Sorry. Just a minute so that I can give the other one a chance.
Mr. Anonymous?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ninjani?
Sikhona msinjani?
Ngiyaphila.
Yeah.
Nami ngicela ukuba anonymous.
Not a problem.
Yes. So I just only have 1 point, ne?
I just have a problem with these people because Abo Lorraine, they are there to assist the state to get these people.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the attitude that they gave my lawyers when they give their answers.
Yeah.
Today when Oramusipiri was asking about the gun, the answers Jaga Lorraine, like I just couldn't understand why is she fighting? So I think that was my one point out of all these things, because even with the last time, that's the attitude we received from them. And I don't understand. If they are there to assist, why are they having an attitude? The very same attitude about Negubaloy. But when it comes to the other people, we are being shown flamed.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
That was my point.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you. Nangu Jabulapa is accusing. It's okay when you people, that means everyone who's here, they call the Khumalos of witchcraft, but it's not okay when the Khumalos do the same. No. Let us start here. You see, Senzo's mom lost a son.
Yes.
This is not about the square or 50-50. Let us do balance. It's already not balanced.
Already.
Do you understand?
It hasn't been balanced.
There is no
since
balance
he passed
already.
away.
If you know how it feels to lose a person, there is no balance.
To lose a son.
A breadwinner, not just a son. There is no balance. So this is not a celebrated thing of trying to, gossiping and all. That's why I moved away from gossiping.
We had to cut that content,
yeah,
right? And just let them.
This is not about balancing the equation here.
Because the moment you speak truth, there are some people who are allergic.
No, this is not balancing equation here. We're not here to balance equation here. We are here to say what we think. And
so you are saying that
Mzansi reality, hello. Mzansi, hello. I can hear myself at the back shouting.
Sorry, Sanbonani.
Yeah, we were saying, Johnny.
Sanbonani.
Yeah, we were Johnny say.
Satlanjani.
Sikon.
Mina engizama ukusho nje lana enginga-understandanga kahle uma ngabe bechaza ngendlela aboboshwa ngayo. Yazi uzokhumbula la Mr. Mas ukuthi kukhona iclip okwayiveza lana eyayivezwe kule nto ekhulunywa Menzisto.
Yes.
Yeah, Menzisto wayechaza laphana ngendlela ababoshwa ngayo kubaboshwa kanjani, but akusesiyona le ndlela le abayichazayo bona. And then okunye futhi ulomfolo u-accused number 2 okuthiwa yena owadubula owabulala. Kuloko okuqala na ukukhumbula bangambe lo kubade bamele benotifo baveza ukuthi kuna bank statement ayeveza ukuthi umsolwa wayekwanongoma elungiselela ukolobola wayeCapitec wayo increase ama limits. But namhlanje futhi akasakuvezi futhi lokho ukuthi ke wayekanongoma elungiselela ukwenza amalobolo ngesandla. Singaveza ngithini ukuthi waboshwa la isebenzela khona phela angisa ilanga sakho ukuqala sanda khona.
Acabanga ukuthi akabikisi isikhathi sakhe. Akabikisi isikhathi sakhe ngicabanga ukuthi kuphelele lezi zinto. Samele ukuthi
beyocrescentminwa nabo.
Lento leni njani is like ngiyakuzwa lokho ngitshela khona, and then kodwa ke mina nakho kwenzakalayo kimi ukuze ngize ngigcine ngiyithole ngila. So akuphelele konke.
Kusamele nabo beyobuzwa.
Okay. Okusukona kusazohamba kuphinde kuvele futhi hambe ngesikhathi.
Yeah, kusazomela ukuthi nabo istory sabo sonke silandeke ukuthi kufike kanjani la, ngoba njengoba kushiwo nje kuthiwa khona abanye, khona omunye ogcine esevunyiswa ngenkani. Yabona le nto le uzomela ukuthi sonke leso story silandele leso story lesikuthi kuhambe kanjani. Kodwa kwamanje akukabisi isikhathi sokuthi kube njalo. Kusuke kukusho nje ngoba uzobona nje mase kufika omunye futhi bazophinde beyisho lento kade beyisho kulo kuzani bazophinde futhi beyisho nakumthoko mhlawumbe mayezoza bazoyisho nakuTubu so njalo bayaqeda ukulokhuza umail ukuthi lo bamele uzophinde eshona le nto le and akekwazi ukuthi beyinde kakhulu ngoba nesikhathi siyabhekelela ukuthi nabo basazoba nesikhathi sabo ukuthi bachaze bona ngoba ubufakazi ukuthi bona bunjani obaba.
Okay, cha kuyazwakala ubuya kanjalo futhi ngiyabo okunye ke enginakho ke la futhi angikhona ukukhomenta la ku-comment section akaveli vele like kuphela ngikhona ukukhomenta kuphela mangabe niveza nanikhuluma kule case enyakathabo bless ya lapho ngiyakhona ukungena ku-comment section ngikhona ukukhomenta but kule hayi akaveli ukhomenta angazi kwenzakalani
la ku live kushuthi awusubscribeile uma ngabe usubscribeile ku live ngoba si live kanje isetho ukuthi ivumele abantu abangama subscriber press that red button and subscribe and then mawuqe is black ne mawuqeda lapho then izokuvumela ukuthi ucomment emasi live
subscribeile futhi ngisesikhathi eside ngihamba nani phela ngisubscribeile
usubscribe ayikuvumeli
ishaye futhi subscribe
unsubscribe bese ngisikhathi eside ngisubscribeile
ishaye kabili
ishaye kabili uyibheke irefresheke uyilinde mhlawumbe izokutshela ukuthi linda ama second ambalwa then busiyakhona ukucomment.
Okay no kunankinga futhi ngiyabonga kakhulu mbonge kakhulu nabo sesamile
siyabonga kakhulu.
Okay
thank you.
And another thing, remember they asked for subpoenaing of the bank statement by the state. So we don't know if they're going to do that or not. We'll wait. Since it's de novo, I think they should request again the Defense Counsel for the bank statement.
This number is the one that has been calling on top of the numbers. So now I'm going to call it.
Struggling to get through. Okay, call them back. Let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, they still have their... To also. Hi, Mzansi, hello.
Hi, I'm sorry to use WhatsApp. I don't have airtime.
Okay.
Yes. What I'm saying, the lawyer today, I think he did a good job because he made Zandile so uncomfortable. That's why she was being so rude today. She was more acting like Domelo, if you have noticed today. Yes. So the lawyer did a very good job. Just that people, they won't see that because when Zandile trying to be harsh on him, he's very calm. Yes, it's not like Mshololo want to be out there to say, okay, you can't talk to this to me. So he's not like Mshololo. So he's very calm. Just tell her that you are not asking me questions. I'm asking you questions. Yeah. So I think he did a very good job. I can't wait for Nessie. He's my guy. And his English is perfect. I remember the previous judge had to go to the dictionary because he was getting confused with other words that Nessie sometimes use.
All right, I guess you're gonna have fun then tomorrow.
And he looked very enthusiastic.
And thank you so much, guys. Thanks for calling me back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
he looked
bye.
Very enthusiastic. He said, oh, yes, my lord. I'm ready to start.
Right, guys, please like the video and subscribe if you are not subscribed. If you cannot, comment here on this live, then that means you are not a subscriber.
Yeah, and specifically on the chat.
On the chat, this is when we are live. When you have that, but normally we do premieres. When we premiere, yes.
Yeah,
and the reason why. Mzansi, hello. Mzansi, hello.
Hello, molweni njani?
Siyaphila njani?
Ngiyaphila nami ngibukele ngise-Ireland bethu.
Yes.
I think I just sent you something via WhatsApp according to the interview, just the one that he said they were wearing a balaclava. But I think that part has been cut off because I remember that interview. It was in ENCA.
Yeah.
It's been cut off, and it's something that I was so interesting yesterday when I was watching it. I thought that you will enter on it because I was like, oh my God, that part on his own, it was the real part that I wanted. And then today when they were playing it, I was so happy. But when she was trying to change now, saying that they were wearing masks, I said, no, man, this girl, what kind of a game is she playing? What is this now? What kind of this game that is she playing now? Because, like, I know we are not in the same, questions that they were happening in the dockets, in the last case. But now everything that she's saying, it's new. And I feel sorry for Tumelo and that other guy, because now this Zandi, she put them under the bridge.
Yep.
Whatever they're going to say now, it won't make sense.
Yeah. Let's hope so.
Thank you, guys. I'm watching, as I said, that I'm watching from Ireland. It's so interesting, to be honest. I can't wait for tomorrow.
Thank you.
I can't wait for tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm going to allow one person who's lucky, and then I think I will be closing.
All right.
Otherwise, tomorrow I'm not going to.
Say, Bill can stop me now.
Zanzelo?
Yes, hello?
Yes, sir.
Mzansi, hi.
Good evening.
Yes.
I just want to add and clear, according to my understanding, there is no contradiction when Zandi says the people were wearing masks. The story of the mask is a response to Cilindero's interview. That did you recognize those people when any of them when they appeared in court? So she said, no, I couldn't recognize them because most of the time when they appeared, they were wearing masks. I couldn't even say Ido or Ido. So there's no contradiction there. She's not referring to say when they came with a robbery thing, they were wearing masks or something like churches do.
I think what we are trying to establish now is that there is another interview that could have been pointing to that, which is a different one from this one, and I think different time zone.
It's not the ANC one. It's
a radio
back from
one.
2015-16. It was on the radio.
Yeah, but that one is done on. If you want to get another, where I listened to one in a radio where she is just like you'd assume she's in a car or something. If you Google if you search on YouTube, just say because it was compiled by a lot of people saying, listen to how Zandi contradicted herself. There will be a part where that you will get that radio interview. Okay. However, a quick one. I just want to add to tell you where she contradicted herself.
Okay.
It's when earlier she was asked by Aramosepe Lekusha how, when, because Ramosepe wants to put it to her that she only pointed accused number 2 after seeing her in the court. And then she said she only saw accused number 2 the second time. The first time she's assuming that it's when they did the robbery. The only time she came to see him is when is when it's under Togo's testimony. That is fine. That is what she's saying. But then again, in that interview that she did with ENTA, she obviously saw them, and that was done earlier. So now you compare here that you saw you cannot tell us that they were wearing masks. There were a time when those guys had to speak. They had to pull off their mask off. So because there she is claiming to answer, when she answered that she only saw that person during Mr. Toko's testimony is the first time she's claiming to have seen him since 2014. Yes. Okay, now if you are saying you only saw that person during that time, how did you respond in 20? I mean, to Slindelo's interview that I couldn't see them well because they were because here she claimed that I kept away from news, video, TV, and everything. There's no way. That is where the contradiction is, and it's where Ramusbeni was supposed to pick it up. I even thought he was going there.
No, you really you nailed it there.
You nailed it. Thank you. You even brought up something that I did not think about.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Emily, all the way from Namibia. Good night.
Namibia.
Shout out to Namibia.
Shout out to Namibians are smart, yo. They're smart. Yes, I was like.
Right. Okay. I thought I was taking the last one.
One more. They keep getting better. They are good, man. You guys are good. You guys are great.
All right.
You guys are so awesome. Oh
that
my
was
God.
great, though. That was great because I don't remember. I don't think I was going to even remember that they were supposed to take them off like Nandipa.
And I did see Bongani takes his off to speak to the judge.
Yes, they were not talking through the mask.
So she still didn't see that girl. Mushalal, I hope that you will pick this one up. Hopefully. I mean, I need her to answer this question. I wanted to, because you said they had on masks, which means you watched that first court appearance. There's a point where, girl.
Yeah, that's it, guys. I think I'm closing now. I'm just gonna see if there's any comment that is. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for being with us. Someone in the chat mentioned what is it? I'm trying to see if I'm not leaving anything. Yes, thank you very much, guys, for being with us. Nentandla Bengu Jabu, and now here we go. We have a person here. I'll give this person less than a minute. Zanzi, hello. Good, sir. How are you?
Ngiyapila.
Yes. You have a minute.
Yes, no, ngiyabona. According to case Senzo Meyiwa, nginombuzo oyi-1 la mhlambe kunye mhlambe lapha ecourt esingakuboni man. Lapha kule scaffold esasilapha e-dining room lapha e-kitchen lapha.
Yebo.
I think on the left hand side beku Senzo Meyiwa abheke emnyango ophumayo and then intruder ibheke phakathi endlini. So yini le eyalimala lapha? It's a bullet le eyalimaza umnyango or kwenzakalani mhlambe lapha ngoba sikhona ukubona kahle.
Bathi iyo phela eyangenaye enye yayo ngithi mathathu.
Ibullet yangena lapha. That means yadutshulwa umuntu obheke ngaphandle.
Hey, wendoda yazi wathinte enye into ngavele nami ngafikelwa ezinye izinto ngoba phela
because I remember I remember one baka testifier uZandile last wayethekela lesikhathi uSenzo abhizi lapha alwa nale intruder enye Zandile Khumalo waphuma wayojoina uSenzo Meyiwa lapha it's whereby sekuzoqhuma isibhamu siqhuma Zandile Khumalo alapha ngalesikhathi atestify eqaleni izweke manje achintshile singazi ukwenzakalani. No, ngiyabonga.
Yeah, uthinte enye into mfowethu kunenhlamvu yatholakala phezulu lapha kwekhabethe ne?
Yebo.
Yes.
Bese kuba khona enye yashaya ishuthi kodwa engenzeka ne answer shuthi enye yashaya yaphumela eminyango yaya ngaphandle lena kodwa efika ekhabetheni phezulu ifika kanjani waphela bangaphakathi yeah
into enkinga la yi-1 ukuthi ama-intruder bekabheka endlini and then bona njoba asho ukuthi badudula abantu babasa ngaphandle
yeah
so how come ukuthi kungaba nebullet engena eminyango whereby ama-intruder abheke ngaphakathi endlini?
That's a good question.
Kona, did they succeed to take them outside?
They say so.
Hey, no. Lungile mfowethu
Because
siyabonga.
nje story nje sisodwa nje sona itself asihlangani because angeke kungene intruder yokuqala kungene yesi2 uKelly Khumalo abaleka ekamereni intruder intruder yokuqala indlule nabo part nendawo ihamba yoforced ukuvula umnyango le ngaphakathi baphushane nomnyango so ayenzi sense.
No ngiyakuzwa mfethu. Sibonge mfoka baba. Sibonge kakhulu.
Sibonge.
Thank you. Mfethu, it has been nice and I'm sorry that sometimes people would call and speak this vernac and because of the calls were pouring we couldn't translate for some of you, some of international viewers. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Special thank you for Undonga has been participating on the comments. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys. Sonto Gumet, Samuel Radebe, Dogozo Mpele, and I see that there's a lot. Mofukeng, Sizwe Mkaka. Yeah. That's it. I'm closing here. I'm done.
Bye, guys.